Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Colorado in the United States of America. Colorado is one of those interesting states because it's a square, just like Wyoming up here. Now, you know what I say if you're a long-time viewer of the channel, that Mother Nature doesn't make straight lines. One of you commented, actually, Mother Nature can make straight lines, and sure, but what I mean is that when you're drawing a border on a map, you follow a river or a mountain or some natural landscape. There is no such thing as a natural landscape. That is a straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line. Nowhere in the world. In fact, there's a lot of straight lines in this part of the United States because that's how it was drawn up on a map, on a piece of paper somewhere, not, created out in the actual wilderness. Mother Nature doesn't make straight lines, people do. And they draw these lines because there's nothing there to demarcate one area from the other, because it is wilderness. I say there's nothing there. But in Colorado's case, there's a lot there. There's just nothing there to separate one state from another. No, river that separates it from Utah, right? These straight lines create something really neat known as the four corners, which is right in the spine of my book right here. But it's where Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona meet in an exact spot. And of course, we'll look at it on Google Earth because things like that, as a geography nerd, make me really happy. But there's a lot here in Colorado to see. The most prominent geographic feature are the Rocky Mountains. You can see the mountains right there from the Rocky Mountains. Some of the highest peaks in the 48 states are located here. Many of them, they're called 14ers because they're over 14,000 feet. The highest, I believe, is, gosh, I need to lean into this map because there's a lot going on here. It is, gosh, see all the mountains? Mount Elbert, I believe, is the highest one. I could be wrong. I did not double check that. But just from me knowing random geography stuff, I'm pretty sure Mount Elbert was the tallest. Although the most famous is Pikes Peak, which, if we look, gosh, this map has way too much, even though it has a lot of stuff that I want to show you, and it's not on here. I always get lost. Let's see. Colorado Springs, there's Pikes Peak. Pikes Peak is just a very iconic mountain peak, like a beautiful facade, and it's very recognizable. And it's important to history. We'll talk about Pikes Peak later in history. But these Rocky Mountains cut through here, creating all kinds of beautiful, beautiful landscapes, beautiful valleys. We have Aspen right here, one of the ski capitals of not just the United States, but the world. We have lots of mining towns. We'll talk about Leadville a bit in history. All kinds of beautiful mountainy sites, and it all accumulates in Rocky Mountain National Park. One of the big, big, big famous national parks in the United States. Definitely one of the most scenic. But there are some other really neat national parks in Colorado. The Great Sand Dunes National Park has the highest sand dunes in the United States. It literally looks like the Arabian Desert. It's just sand dunes as far as the eye can see. It's very beautiful. We have dinosaur, I think it's, National Monument. There's a lot of dinosaur fossils there, like a lot, hence the name. Gosh, what else? There's Black Canyon right there. I feel like I'm forgetting one down there, but I think I'm just thinking of the sand dunes. There's the Canyon of the Ancients, and of course, Mesa Verde right here. The Yucca House over here. So this corner over here, the mountains do something very interesting. Many rivers are cutting through this area, creating all kinds of rock formations and canyons. And it is the home of many flat-topped mesas and buttes. Very interesting mountain formations. And Mesa Verde is one of the most famous because when we start our history talk, it'll start right here with the ancient Puebloans who created a city there. And it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Let me get my book. It was one of the first designated UNESCO sites, so it's at the start of this book. Along with the Galapagos there, and Krakow. There we go. Let me move this out of the way. There we go. Mesa Verde National Park in the USA. Standing on the Mesa Verde Plateau in southwest Colorado, at a height of more than 26,000 meters, is this concentration of ancestral Pueblo dwellings. Their originality derives in part from the unique local topography of mesas, or tablelands, intersected by deep canyons that dictated their construction. The dwellings were also designed to cope with the challenging local climate, a semi-arid environment with irregular rainfall and extremes of temperature between day and night. The dwellings were built by the ancient Puebloans, we'll talk about that, between the 6th and 12th centuries, and the earliest habitations are found largely on the plateau. Later, villages grew in and around the cave-studded sides of the cuestas, where erosion had left protective, overhanging cliffs. Some of these imposing stone-built cliff dwellings comprise more than 100 rooms. In all, some 4,400 sites have been recorded. You can see right here that these are built into the rock cliffs. Of course, we'll look at them on Google Earth. They're absolutely stunning. Now, this name here, the Anasazi, is what I was taught in school back in the 90s that these people were called. It was in our textbooks back then. But apparently this is a derogatory term from the Navajo, who lived a bit further south. I forget what it means, but it's something derogatory. So our indigenous neighbors and friends here in the United States ask that we not call the ancestors this word anymore, that we say ancient Puebloans. So we will. We always respect when people say, actually, we don't want to be called by that name, whether it's an individual or a group. I understand. Whatever you want to be called, that's what you'll be called. The ancestral Puebloans. Back to geography, the capital is Denver, and as you can see, it is a massive metropolitan area that has many, many other towns around. The ones that we'll talk about are Littleton and Aurora. Comes up in history, but there's also Westminster, there's Boulder right there. There's a bunch of others, and we'll talk about the new airport right here. We'll talk about that in the Google Earth segment, but this is a fairly new airport. It has quite a reputation, and I'll tell you about when I had like an hour and a half layover at the Denver airport. So this is the mountainy side. That's the mesa bit right there. But then we have this side of Colorado. As you can see, it's very different over here. There's no mountains. There's lots of rivers. But you can see all of these mountains, and nothing. This is where the mountains slope down to create part of the Great Plains of the United States, the prairie land, where it's very, very flat, very fertile. But there's pretty much no landmarks as far as the eye can see. I've driven through it once. Never again. There's nothing. There's nothing. When I say there's nothing, we draw these straight lines. There's literally nothing. think like Mongolian steppe land, except much flatter, right? Nothing as far as the eye can see. Of course, many indigenous people called this land home, as well as the mountains around here as well. There were, just to name a few, the Arapaho, the Cheyenne, the Utes were more in the mountainy areas, the Comanche, the Apache, and the ancient Puebloans we mentioned. Many, many different Native Americans lived in what's now Colorado. In 1803, France sells a huge chunk of land to the United States. And Thomas Jefferson, the president at the time, was like, well, we need to see what's out there. So we all know Lewis and Clark went out to explore and try to find a way to the Pacific Ocean. But in 1806, another man was sent out to explore the area named Zebulon Pike, which is quite a name, isn't it? He ventured westward, eventually wandered into what's now Colorado, and he was the first Caucasian person to see Pikes Peak, and it was named after him. I think he was arrested by the Spanish when he arrived, though, because this area was not part of the Louisiana Purchase. This area belonged to, I think it was Nueva España, which was a Spanish territory. It's eventually Mexican territory once Mexico declared independence. It wouldn't become a United States area territory until 1848 with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, after the Mexican-American War, drew a line at the Rio Grande River and said everything north belongs to the United States, everything south belongs to Mexico. So this territory came under the jurisdiction of the United States. And just in time, because in the mountains here in 1858, gold was discovered. Many prospectors came from the east to Colorado. Their slogan was Pikes Peak or Bust. Even though the gold wasn't at Pikes Peak. Whatever. It's catchy, isn't it? In 1878, silver would be discovered at Leadville. And there was a big silver boom there as well. There's still a lot of mining going on in Colorado today, but there was a boom and a bust, right? But that boom brought in many people to the area here and starting to create this metropolitan area up here that would grow and grow and grow, especially with the advent of the railroad. Once the Transcontinental Railroad was built, this place really started to boom. There's also important spots on the Oregon Trail. Make sure I just slid the book. Ugh, okay. Some sites that came up in the video game that was on the Oregon Trail you can see is Bent's Fort over here. That was an important one. I'd always do lots of shopping at Bent's Fort. And then I'd always stop at Chimney Rock, you can see right here. Whenever I played, if I survived by the time I got to Chimney Rock, I always stopped there because I thought Chimney Rock was really cool. But most people, came over to this area up here for a long, long time. Now, there's a sad chapter in Colorado's history at this point, and it's not on this map, but it's around this area over here, and that would be the Sand Creek Massacre. This occurred in 1864 during the U.S. Civil War. Colorado, which I think it was called Jefferson then. I don't think Colorado had caught on by then. Maybe did I can't remember. Anyway, it was not a state, because at that time in the U.S., prior to the Civil War, there was a debate over whether new states would be slave-owning or non-slave-owning. The government dealt with this by just not creating any states and leaving it to be ambiguous. But this area, Colorado, would fight for the Union, and there are many soldiers stationed here. One of those groups of soldiers went on to attack a group of Cheyenne and, I believe Arapaho. Either Arapaho or Apache. I'm sorry. Mostly Cheyenne people who were peacefully camped out here minding their own business as they saw these people approach, waved a white flag because that's what they were told to do so that they wouldn't be attacked, and they were all killed anyway. Men, women, and children. Many hundreds lost their lives. One of the many great tragedies in Colorado's history. There would be others, but that one's devastating. Colorado wouldn't become a state until 1876. It's here I need to point out, if you're like ASM or Geographica, if you're not American, if you're like ASM or Geographica, isn't it Colorado? Isn't that a Spanish word? Yes, it is. It means red rocks, I believe, because there's a lot of red rocks and red soil here. It's Colorado in American English. If you come here and say Colorado, you will get stared at. No one will know what you're talking about. It's Colorado. Rad. It's pretty rad here in Colorado. It's Colorado, okay? Don't say Colorado. Don't do it. It's Colorado. Good talk. Another one of the tragedies that occurred in Colorado happened over here. You can see this town called Granada. I believe that is pronounced the Spanish way, Granada. Correct me if I'm wrong, Coloradans. It was there in 1942 that Camp Amache, I actually didn't look up the pronunciation. It was constructed to inter Japanese Americans. It's 1942. Pearl Harbor just happened. The government did not trust any Japanese people living in America, even if they were citizens, even if they were born on U.S. soil. Many Japanese Americans, mostly in California, were rounded up and placed in internment camps so the government could keep an eye on them. And one of them was over here. Another great American tragedy that repercussions of are still being felt to this day. Let me see. The next thing I want to talk about is actually on the map, but I want to make sure I find it. It is... I forgot where it was, you guys. It's on the map. Ha 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 ha. The U.S. Air Force Academy. You can see right here in the red. This was built in 1954, and it is, if you enlist in the Air Force here in the United States, this is where you go to learn how to fly airplanes and fight in the air. One of the very important military academies in the United States. Now, the other tragedies to talk about in the history of Colorado and the United States occurred in Littleton in 1999 at Columbine High School, and in Aurora in 2012 at a movie theater, where I think we all know what happened. The event in Littleton shifted American consciousness forever because it was the first major shooting at a school in American history. Totally preventable, as most of them are. And I talked about this in my 250 America video, how I was, 12, 13 when that event happened, and it spooked me really bad because the thought of that kind of event had never crossed my mind. You would think after an event like that, something would happen to prevent it from happening again, but not in American politics. The event in 2012 was also devastating. It was a chain of movie theaters that I once worked for, and when I heard that that tragedy occurred at that movie theater, I knew right away, based on what I knew about the company, that they would do absolutely nothing to prevent it from happening again, because owning guns is more important than people living their lives every day. Very tragic. Of course, we won't go into detail, but I think we all know what I'm referring to. Other than that, Denver is one of the major cities of the United States, along with the entire metropolitan area here. There's also Colorado Springs down here is a major city, among many others, but those are the big ones. I've been to Denver. So when I said never again driving through the Great Plains, me and my friends went from Berkeley to Missouri to camp out with friends. We drove through Wyoming to get there, and through Nebraska. It was miserable. There's nothing there. Nothing as far as we're like, we're not going through Nebraska. And my friend who was driving was like, well, my dad lives in Denver. Let's drive to Denver and spend the night at my dad's house. And I'm like, perfect. So we drove to Denver. We spent the night. We got there like 9 o'clock at night. So we went right to bed. We woke up the next day. My friend's dad decided to take us out to lunch and a movie. And the movie we saw was Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And it was awful. And I was devastated because I loved Indiana Jones movies. And I was so happy there would be a new one. And it was awful. And I remember sitting in the movie theater looking at the UFOs and being like, man, we're leaving Denver right after this. And the only thing I'm going to think about when I think of Denver is this dumb movie. And that is so true. I didn't really get to see anything else in Denver because we split. We went this way up through Wyoming, I believe. Yeah, I think we went this way. Maybe I don't think we drove through. We went through Wyoming to go back home. But yeah, that's all I think about when I think of Denver. And I'll tell you about the Denver airport when we go to Google Earth. So why don't we do that now? Actually, wait. No, we're not. I have this book here for you. I thought we'd do something before we did the tablet and look through some of the pictures in the book. We used to do this ages ago, back at the start of my channel. I check out books and show you the pictures. That's before I had the tablet. How cute, prairie dog. But I thought I'd show you some pictures in the historical chapters because there's a lot of them. The first people can see the Utes over here in the mountains, Pawnees. I didn't mention the Pawnees, and the Comanches over there. The Jicarilla Apaches. Down there's the Navajo. Here is Mesa Verde. Of course, we'll look at on Google Earth. Some beautiful crafts there. Let's see what we've got over there. There's Ben's Fort, Fort Pueblo, Fort Garland, Chimney Rock, Cliff Palace, Pikes Peak. Preaching to some Native Americans there, and there they are ready to trade. Louisiana Purchase. I guess Colorado was part of the Louisiana Purchase, but not all of it. It was not recognized. Some Mexican Americans there. Breckenridge. Boomtown there. Panning for gold. This is the Sand Creek Massacre. Hope you can see. The saddest events in history. This is Boulder. A little schoolhouse there and all the children outside. All right, territory to statehood. So let me get my pencil. This was the territory, like I said, just drawn up on a map, probably based on latitude and longitude. See, Utah Territory, Kansas Territory, Indian Territory. There's Texas, which was its own thing by that point. New Mexico Territory, Nebraska Territory. So this was created right in the middle. You can see there's Denver, there's Golden City, and Colorado City, which is now Colorado Springs. Look at this. Oh, it's women voting. Women got the right to vote in 1907 in Colorado. It wouldn't be nationwide until 1920. Some miners there. Oh, I didn't talk about the mining strikes. There were a lot of those in the early 1900s. Here are some Japanese Americans being shuttled away here, being sent to the internment camp. And a doctor there. The light rail in Denver. And this is a memorial for a fire. The Black Forest Fire near Colorado Springs in 2013. You could see this was someone's fireplace here, and that's all that's left of their home. It's not a memorial. This was someone's home. Probably her home. Very sad. Those are the history pictures. I thought I'd show you a couple before we head over to the tablet. Why don't we do that now? Let me hit the lights. And we'll explore Colorado on Google Earth. Now, there's a lot to see in Colorado, like a lot. So I'm probably going to forget some things and skip some things. So drop down in the comments any places you feel like I should have looked at that I forgot or just felt like this is going on too long. I need to cut it short. Let me know down in the comments, okay? But first, let's enjoy it first. Let's go. Here we are in Colorado State. But let's start by zooming out. Whoa, not street view. No. No. Let's start with the street view. Where are we? What? We're at a pool. Okay. It's very nice. Don't get me wrong. We're at the Juniper Hot Springs. Is that what that says? Okay. Let's get out of here. Let's start by zooming out. So you can see exactly where we are in the world. Let's get the borders back up here. There we go. My goodness, how chaotic. So here's Colorado. Perfect little square state here in the central United States. I feel like everyone knows where the United States are located. This big old country here in North America. Canada's up here, even bigger. Mexico's down here, even more easy to identify. And there's big old Colorado, and you can see right away the geographic difference between this half of the state and this half of the state. This is all flat. This is all mountain. Now, also, looking at a map like this, it's easy to confuse Colorado with Wyoming, because Wyoming is also a big old square. You just have to remember that Wyoming's up here, Colorado's down here. You can see that it's, even though Wyoming's very mountainous, all the big peaks are down here. You just gotta, I don't think there's any clever way to remember which one is which. You just gotta learn that this is Wyoming. This is Colorado. Let's start in Denver. This big metropolis here. Huge metropolis area. Metropolitan area is what I'm trying to say. Let's just look at the main slideshow here. And we'll check out some other stuff. There's the little train there. There's the skyline with the big mountains in the background. There's Coors Field, where the Rockies play, baseball team. Beautiful downtown, an old brownstone there, or a redstone, I suppose, part of that Colorado red rock. I wonder if there's any pictures here. I didn't look. That's the Union Station, the big train station that really built up Denver. Yeah, the Capitol building has that red rock there in the dome. And many big buildings all around. This is one of those situations where I did research on this like a few days ago and I didn't brush up on the map, so I have to remember where everything is. I'll figure it out. Museo de las Americas, Ancient Americas. This looks like it's all of the Americas. So it looks like there's some like Mayan stuff. There weren't Mayans here. Look at this beautiful outfit here with the Virgin right there. Very cool. Yeah, this is not in Colorado, but a very cool museum nonetheless of indigenous history throughout the Americas. So yeah, I have to remember where everything is. Right here, I do have to show you this because I am a hockey nerd. This is where the Avalanche play, or the Avs. A team that in the past, 6-7 years has done extremely well for themselves. They've even won a Stanley Cup. Or 2? Did they win it twice? I can't remember. I don't really follow the Avs, but I'm always proud of a little team making it big, especially since my team was a big team. That's really shrunk it down. And look, here they are. This picture must have been from 10 years ago, because that's Brent Burns. That's Jumbo Joe Thornton right there. That's gotta be Martin Jones, 31. In net there. And I think that's Brendan Dillon. That looks like a 4. It's like Brendan Dillon right there. That's the San Jose Sharks. That's my team. None of these men are on the Sharks now. Joe Thornton's retired and a Hall of Famer. Brent Burns is off, New Jersey now? Anyway, there's my Sharks playing the Avs. Back when the Avs were trash, the Sharks probably won that game. they would not win today. The Avs are a fantastic team now. They are great to watch. But anyway, here's the Western Stock Show. The world's largest rodeo occurs here. You can see they've got all the horses. Look at them. Huge. They got horse-drawn carriages. They got some llamas there. Cute. They're having a little roundup there. See the little calf there, I think. Look at this longhorn. That is a longhorn. Yeah, the world's largest rodeo and livestock show. Looks like those are piggies, I think. Sweet longhorn there. Oh my gosh. Loads of sheepies. Big car show happening here as well. Some horses riding around. Aren't they beautiful? Fucking bronco there. Bronco. A dinosaur. There's always a dinosaur every time. A cow friend, not a bronco. Sweet horses riding around. Looks like you can buy some pew-pew material there, and we've got dinosaurs. I wonder if that's the Walking with Dinosaurs exhibit that's like notorious here in the US. It's this like animatronic tour that goes all over the US. I wonder if that's what that is. There's always dinosaurs. There's the Denver Zoo. I won't show you that, but my sister is a zoo nerd, and she like wants to hit up a bunch of zoos. One of them's the Denver Zoo. I'm more of a botanic gardens. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do love to see animals, but we've been on a botanic gardens kick lately, and we've got the lily pads in the pond with the lotus flowers. If your botanic garden doesn't have a pond with lily pads and at least one lotus, I mean, if you have none, that's fine. If you've got the lily pads, that's enough. But if you've got the lotus, you're a botanic garden. If you don't have either, get one. Pressure your local botanical garden to get a lily pad lake, because what's the point otherwise? There's loads more to see. There's the aquarium. There's the course field where the Rockies play, like I say. I don't know where the Broncos play. I don't really follow football, but this is where the Broncos are. They're a huge team in the US because they were also once like champions, right? Super Bowl champions. Not so much anymore, but I've known many people who are die-hard Broncos fans. Die-hard Broncos fans. Die. I like literally. They would die for the Broncos. Is this where they play? At Mile High. Yep, this is where the Broncos play. Well, we found it. There's the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame. We found where the Broncos play. All right, that was easy. Let's look at Larimer Square. Is that how you say that? Look at that shopping, the little Colorado flags. Cute downtown area here. There's a little Cupid. That must have been when they won the cup, or playing for a cup. The Stanley Cup, I mean. Whoa, they're flying away. Interesting. While we're over here, we can check out the Denver airport, which is actually, let me show you, because it's over here, right? Look at this. It is one of the biggest airports in terms of area. It's not showing it to you. I'm going to type it in. Actually, I think it's in my recent searches, yeah. Look. Do the thing. Do the thing where you highlight it. It doesn't want to. I'll show you. This is all airport. Like, all this is considered part of the airport. I don't know why it's not showing you the borders, but you can see all the many runways here. So many. The big terminals here. Look at all the airplanes. There's the main terminal. It goes all the way down here where we've got more parking. There's the shipping for packages and not flying, not people, everything else but people. More airport. This is all part of the airport. There's car rentals over there. It's a huge area. But probably the most famous sight at the Denver airport is Blucifer. We gotta look at Blucifer. Blucifer is a giant blue horse. There's something very demonic about Blucifer. It's got glowing red eyes. Ignore Eric Carl there. Ignore this chicken. It's kind of menacing at night with its big glowing evil eyes. Not to mention it killed its creator. It fell on, see here it is being installed. It fell on the artist that created it and crushed him, and he's no longer with us. It's a giant horse. Big old Blucifer. Now, when I laid over at the Denver airport, I didn't get to see Blucifer. But, if we... Gosh, I wonder if I can find the right slideshow. There's not that one. That's just Blucifer. Maybe this one. Yeah. I was laid over in this terminal with all this concrete, and I thought, like, man, they just built this airport, and it's so ugly. And I'd heard a lot of rumors about this airport. I wonder if we can see. No, not in this slideshow. I wonder what slideshow it was. But there are some gargoyles around the airport that are meant to just like be little protectors. Yeah, I was in this terminal and I thought it was the ugliest terminal I've ever seen. But yeah, there's some conspiracies about this airport. I don't know, maybe if we looked at that one already. Maybe just this, the Jepson terminal. Do we see any gargoyles? See these big sweeping ceilings here. Let me do something real quick. I just Googled some of the gargoyles. It won't, okay. It won't let me make them bigger. But you can see the gargoyles here. Yeah, some people think that that's kind of mysterious and demonic. And that the Denver airport is so huge because there are tunnels underneath for, I guess, like the Illuminati or for the, like, oh yeah, the out facade is really, it looks supposed to look like the mountains, can you see? But it kind of creeps people out. The cargo at Denver airport is there to protect your baggage. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting conspiracies about the Denver airport, and it definitely had a very uncomfortable vibe to it. This statue weirded me out when I first saw it. I thought it was Terminator 2. You know, in Terminator 2, when he like turns his arms into blades. I thought that's what that was for a second. But I think it's like Amelia Earhart or some pilot, and that's the wing of the airplane behind it. I saw that in one of the Google Earth slideshows here, and I went, oh my god. It creeped me out. I thought it was T-1000. Is it T-1000 Terminator 2? I don't remember. It scared me. So yeah, Denver airport definitely had a vibe to it that wasn't cozy. Minneapolis, St. Paul's very cozy. Salt Lake City's very cozy. Oakland airport's very cozy. Denver airport has a weird vibe to it. That's just the only way I can describe it. I guess while we're here, we'll take a look at Columbine High School, since there are some memorials there. I have to remember where it is, though. Over here. That's the middle school. I'm just looking for schools. Columbine, by the way, is the the state flower of Colorado. Also, if I recall, see at South Platte Park, I'm pretty sure the show South Park was based on Littleton, Colorado. I think that's where Matt Stone and Trey Parker are from Littleton. But I could be wrong. I could be misremembering that. But I feel like I watched a documentary about the creation of South Park once, because I was very much into South Park when it first came out. And I'm pretty sure that's what they said. It was way over here. The memorial is right here at the library because this is where most students and teachers, I believe, lost their lives. Seeing this as a millennial, these images, is a little unsettling, and I'm glad that it's still a functional library where students are learning today. There's the memorials here. Because I feel like, this image, I see this and I see like the aerial footage of the students being evacuated, and it sends a chill down my spine, remembering that time. What's really sad is that that's a common occurrence here in the US in many schools. And I'm sure many students today wouldn't get that eerie feeling seeing footage like that, but I sure did. Anyway, let's look at some mountains. Arapaho and Roosevelt National Forests and Pawnee National Grasslands. It's, of course, stunningly beautiful. It's one of those corners of the world where there's no such thing as an ugly place. You can explore it till it's ugly all you want. You'll never leave. It's all beautiful. But right next door to here is the Rocky Mountain National Park. And it's easily the most stunning place to see the Rockies in the United States. There's many places in Canada. You can go to like Banff and all that. A glacier, well, glaciers up near Alaska, but anyway. There's many places in Canada to see beautiful Rocky Mountains, but if you want to see the beautiful Rocky Mountains in the US, you really got to come to Colorado and see these incredible peaks. If you've never seen mountains like this, there's no way to describe it. It's so big and so massive and so beautiful that you just stare at it like, how is this a real thing? How this is a photograph that's been blown up. And yeah, you just can't comprehend it. It's so big seeing it from like a distance. These beautiful mountains here. Make sure I don't wind up in Wyoming. There's Wyoming up there. Okay, we're good. Let's go check out Pikes Peak. Poking out right here. There's Pikes Peak. One of the more famous mountains in the United States, mostly due to its history. There's the summit. I believe you can drive to the summit. There's Bigfoot Crossing. Due to sightings in the area of a creature resembling Bigfoot, this sign has been posted for your safety. Not that anyone's ever been ended by a Bigfoot that we know of. The Bigfoot's not going to hurt you. Welcome to the summit of Pikes Peak. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can drive to the top of Pikes Peak. It's Bigfoot. Or take a tram to the top of Pikes Peak, too. That's probably more fun than driving. But yeah, it is one of the iconic mountains of the United States, Pikes Peak. Oh yeah, see the road? You can drive to the top of Pikes Peak. You don't have to hike it. All of these slideshows are amazing, by the way. If you are bored one day and want to explore the world, check out Colorado. It has some of the most beautiful landscapes. Oh, I should have mentioned this in the geography. The Great Divide, the Continental Divide. But yeah, check it out. Please, please, please. So, there's Colorado, right? The Continental Divide is where the rivers on either side flow out to a different area. So all the rivers on this side of the Rockies, all the way to the East Coast, all flow out to the Atlantic. And all the rivers on this side flow out to the Pacific. All of them. This is the divide. There's no river that starts over here and flows over to the Atlantic. Isn't that fascinating? We love a good continental divide. We can look at the sand dunes. Oops, we're in New Mexico. Let me get the borders back up. We can close that. Let's head back to Colorado. Yep, we went way too far south. We want to see the sand dunes, please. Sand dunes, please. Sand dunes, please. I lost the sand dunes, guys. I lost the sand dunes. Let's find it. I told you I did this research like 4 days ago. Oops, it's Great Sand Dunes National Park. How off was I? Oh, I wasn't that far. I was off. I would have found it if I kept trying. The sand dunes. There's the high dune. But look at this. Look at that. Marshall, look at those big old elk. Crazy, but look at the sand dunes. It's like, what are they doing there? That doesn't belong here. This looks like Photoshop. It looks like someone just put a bunch of sand dunes among the mountains. It doesn't look real, but it is. Isn't that something? The Great Sand Dunes Wilderness. What does it say? Where man himself is a visitor who does not remain. Wow. Yeah, I gotta read. Like, how did this happen? Where did the sand come from? Whoa. That's a photo. Holy moly. That's gotta be filtered somehow. But that's stunning. Yeah, what? How did this happen? Obviously, there's a geological explanation, but look at the cacti, how cute. Yeah, there's gotta be. Someone will say it in the comments, maybe. I'll pin it if they do. Look at all the farmland. I love the farm circles. Even though apparently, wait, what? Let me finish my thought. Apparently this style of farming with the circles isn't good for the topsoil or something like that. I'm not a farmer. I think they're pretty from above. You know you're in America when you've got the aliens and you've got Bigfoot. What is that? Is that a blue meanie? No, it's not. What is that? Yep. Listen, nothing says America. Like this image right here. This is the most American thing. Holy moly. This is so funny. There's a UFO. We come in peace. The most American thing. Oh my goodness. Yeah, everything, like non-Americans who've never been to America, it really be like that. It really is. It's not an exaggeration, the stuff you see on like movies and stuff. It really is like that. Let's head over to the plains and then we'll hop back to the mountains. But let me put the borders back up because, like I said, there's nothing there. There's nothing to separate this from any of the other plains. But I think we should look at, here's Granada. I know the internment camp is outside the town, but I don't remember where. Do I have the everything? Yes, I do. Okay. Yeah, I remember it being outside of this town, but I don't remember in which direction it was, because they deliberately built it away from the population. What was it called? I didn't look up how to pronounce it. It was the... Let's just do this. Colorado. Japanese. Aha. Apache National Historic Site. There it is. I would not have found that. Yeah, there were some very notorious camps. This isn't one of them. I've never heard of it because I'm California. I know all the California ones, but it looks like that's all that's left of it. Big water tower, an honor roll. My goodness. Remember, dedicated to the 31 patriotic Japanese Americans who volunteered from Apache and dutifully gave their lives in World War II. To the approximately 7,000 persons who were relocated at Apache. and to the 120 who died there during this period of relocation. What an absolute tragedy it is. There's many things that we as Americans are ashamed of in our history. This is easily top 5, which is sad that we would have a top anything, but easily top 5. Most shameful acts in American history was the Japanese internment. Speaking of shameful acts in American history, all right, I just could because obviously I was looking around. I'm like, I'm not going to find this thing. I'll spare you that. The Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site, which obviously there's nothing left to look at. It's just the field where it happened, battleground, 1864. But I just imagine that this land holds so much sorrow, so much unnecessary bloodshed here. Why? Great question. I believe that dude got arrested and tried not long after, because what the heck? Go in pursuit, kill and destroy all hostile Indians that infest the plains. That's awful. That's awful. Yeah, it's because they wanted them gone so they could do this and build homes and everything. And look at all the homes they built because they wiped out the people living here. Wow. I mean, you can see all the farmland, but top 3 treatment of Native Americans, at least maybe even top 2 worst tragedies that Americans caused in the world. Let's look at something happy. Let's go look at Chimney Rock. You can see the reservations around. The Apaches are up here where people were forcibly moved away from their land. I'm going to type it in. This is already way too long of a video. Chimney Rock. Oh, all the times I've camped out at Chimney Rock playing Oregon Trail. If you've never played classic Oregon Trail, it is such a fun game. Chimney Rock. There it is. There's the chimney. All the times I've camped out here playing Oregon Trail. Usually once you get to Chimney Rock, you've got pretty good odds of making it all the way to Oregon or California, wherever you're heading off to. Chimney Rock. You have a pretty good chance. There it is. Yeah, if you've never played Oregon Trail, you really should. It's so much fun and educational. Play the classic 8-bit one, though. The more modern ones are not great. They go way too unnecessarily hard on details and graphics. You don't need all that. Let's head back to the mountains and look up. There's Gunnison. There's Aspen. Just to show you from above, since I have the everything filter on, it should start showing the ski slopes. You can see the Aspen Highlands Ski Resort there. Just the word Aspen is interchangeable with skiing. There's the North Star. That's like a chain of ski resorts. Yeah, the word Aspen is just synonymous with skiing in the United States. They go hand in hand. You can see all of the big peaks around here too. All the 14ers. I like that phrase. Let's check out Dinosaur. There's a town called Dinosaur. The Dinosaur Monument, where this landscape was just conducive for dinosaur fossils to be preserved. As you can see here, it's a big wall here, just full of fossils. Look at that spine. That's incredible. Big dinos. Stegosaurs. There's always a dinosaur in these ledges. Some indigenous art. Isn't that beautiful? Some rock art. You know I love me some rock art. Look at that. I wonder if these are casts. Because when you see the big dinosaur bones all displayed like we saw over there, They're casts of the real thing. They don't put the real thing out on display because it'll erode or get damaged. You don't want someone like throwing a can of soda at the dinosaurs or anything. But I wonder if all of those rocks are the real deal or not. I'd like to think they are. By the way, if you're watching this from Colorado, let us know where you're watching from. We all want to see you guys shout out. Let's look at Four Corners. Four corners, four corners, four. Look at that. Look at that. Four corners. Look at it from above. You can stand in 4 states at once. You know I want to go here so bad. This is like my dream. Welcome to Four Corners, USA. We can stand right at the spot where 4 states meet. That's awesome. I love it. There's the Gordon's Fisherman. Wow. The bathroom's closed. There's no water. Welcome to the Navajo Nation Hut. I gotta get that cleaned up. Four Corners Monument. The parks got closed. The Navajo tribal parks are closed today. Look at all the flags around. That's an eerie picture. They look like ghosts. That's an eerie picture. That's a majestic horse. That's like a horse god. My goodness, that's beautiful. All the bikers out, and that looks like a big explosion. I don't know what's happening there. But anyway, Four Corners. But look how much the landscape has changed down here. This is that red rock, right? Look how much, it's still mountainous, but look how much the landscape has changed from Rocky Mountains, big snow peaks, all majestic and beautiful. And then you come down here, we lose the trees, and we get these big, craggy cliffs and rocks. And it's beautiful. And we arrive here at Mesa Verde National Park. We're going to end here tonight. Let's look at the slideshow first. Here you can see the Cliff Palace, which we'll look at on Google Earth, because it's funny because Google Earth can't figure out what this is. But you can see this whole city down here. Isn't that remarkable? Amazing. Amazing. It must have been a trip to live here. Apparently they all abandoned it because of like drought or something, but apparently it wasn't that great. But gosh, it seems amazing. Look at the little houses down there, built into the cliffs there. There's a big mesa right there, big flat top. Look, can you see the buildings in the cliffs? How incredible is that? And look, if you were just like riding your horse up here, you'd have no idea that there is a whole civilization hiding just below you in the canyon, in the cliffs here. It is so stunning. What an amazing place in the world. It's a little magical, isn't it? I imagine when like the first white people stumbled upon this, they probably, I don't know what they would think. I would think that it was like fairies or something. That it was something not quite like human made. So here's the Cliff Palace, right? And then look at poor Google Earth trying to figure out what it's looking at. So you can see some of the buildings there. Now listen, when I looked at it, it was very confused. It's figuring it out now. Never mind. When I first researched this, Google Earth was like, wiggity what? It was all blobby and silly, but now it works. So hey, nice. Let's look at the Cliff Palace. Just one of the most amazing indigenous sites, not just in the US, but in the world. Isn't that something? Yeah, there's something magical about this place. What was life like in this community? It was probably pretty rad at first. Until until it collapsed here and everyone abandoned it. Long before the white people came, probably in, I want to say it was like the 1400s. This place was abandoned. I meant to write down the years this place was built and lived in, and I did not. Oh well. But you can explore these cliffs and see all kinds of, like, I was just like going along here and just finding little buildings. Like, how cool is that? Here's the main museum over here. I think there are some houses. Yeah, you can see Spruce Tree House is... See, now Google Earth's having a hard time. See right there? There's a house. Gosh, that's amazing. So incredible. Our ancestors were just amazing human beings. No matter where you're from, I refer to like all peoples from ancient times, our ancestors, because you don't know. You could be related to these people. You don't know. I'm sure if you live in like Serbia, you probably don't. But you never know. I might, because I'm American. I don't know. I refer to all ancient peoples as our ancestors, because not only should we respect them, we should be so proud of what they achieved and so blessed to have what they left behind. UNESCO symbol there. So blessed to have what they left behind. The fact that those buildings in the cliffs are still so well preserved, probably not perfectly, but enough that we can really see how these people once lived. That's real magic, isn't it? That's real magic. Let me find one more slideshow to look at. See all the different houses. Let's look at Wild Horse Mesa. That sounds beautiful. It has no pictures. Mesa Verde letting me down. Let's look at Black Mountain. That looks pretty cool right there. What about Ute Mountain? Come on, Ute Mountain. Yes, Ute Mountain. Not letting me down. Look at that beautiful peak. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. Now, I'm about to go on vacation. The day that you're watching this is my first day on vacation, and I am back home in California, in San Francisco, in the Bay Area. Happy as a clam, I'm sure, to be back home where I grew up. So, for the next 3 weeks, we're going to do viewer's choice. I am in the middle of batch filming all kinds of videos about topics that you all requested. Don't leave any in the comments because it's already set in stone. I've already recorded most of them. But that's what's coming up in the next few weeks. A bunch of fun random topics. And then when we get back to the series, we are going to be going back to Honduras to see an area that was once the capital of Honduras. And I haven't started research yet. We'll have to find out why it's no longer the capital of Honduras. It's probably for some boring political reason, but if you want to know, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Please give this video a thumbs up. Let me know all your thoughts down below, and I would greatly appreciate it if you could hype this video. Please, and thank you. There's so many out there we didn't look at Gunnison. There's so many other places I could have taken you to. There's just too many. Colorado is something else. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night. Good night.